Hi, I wanted to start off the video by saying you gotta forgive me for how I'm talking. I actually had a seizure, so my tongue is pretty chewed up. So I'm looking a little funny when I'm talking. I have a little bit of a lisp and I'm stumbling over my words and I'm still a little fuzzy, so I'm actually going to be reading what I have to say today because I don't have the neurological capacity at the moment to just kind of ramble off. But anyway, my name's Nicole, and I have a rare life-threatening heart condition called Catecholaminergic Polymorphic Ventricular Tachycardia, commonly abbreviated CPVT. And today I decided to make a video sharing my struggle with CPVT because I was looking around the internet and I didn't see many people sharing their struggle with the disease. And I wanted to give people a story to relate to and someone to share their struggle with. And I wanted to raise awareness because the unfortunate thing about CPVT is it commonly goes undetected, resulting in sudden unexplained death, which is preventable with early detection and proper treatment. CPVT is a problem in the electrical system of the heart, so there are no structural abnormalities, which makes it even more difficult to diagnose. With physical and emotional stress or anything that creates adrenaline rushes, the heart beats too fast and too irregular, adding beats and skipping beats, which can result in seizures, fainting, and sudden cardiac arrest. I've had CPVT my whole life. I got diagnosed when I was 16, though, with it being mistaken as just an irregular heart rhythm, making my childhood dangerously normal with just avoiding caffeine and seeing a cardiologist annually. I partook heavily in sports, which increased my risk for cardiac arrest, and I didn't take any medicine, which was always leaving me vulnerable for life-threatening heart rhythms. When I was 16, I had my first seizure. I had grand mal seizure. I smacked my head. I resisted help, and I don't remember any of it. That seizure, along with abnormal stress test results, led to the diagnosis of CPVT with confirmation by genetic testing. I got started immediately on medication and had to stop all physical activity. My health took a dramatic turn for the worse. After about a year or so after my diagnosis, so when I was like 16 or 17, I went into sudden cardiac arrest. Luckily for me, I was already in the hospital from a seizure when it happened, and even luckier, I pulled out of the cardiac arrest by myself, so I didn't have to get shocked. It was a really scary moment when I woke up. The doctor was hovering over me, talking to me, and I couldn't move or talk at first for what felt like minutes. And I had felt almost as if I had passed out, but not like a seizure. It was different. It was a new, weird feeling. Eventually, I could talk, and I asked what happened. And the doctor nonchalantly said, "Oh, you went into cardiac arrest." And confused and horrified, I asked, "Well, for how long?" And he said, "About 11 seconds." My poor mom was at the foot of my bed the whole time, as horrified as I was. I wish I could say that that was the scariest moment of my life, but it was not. As I get older, my health seems to be getting worse. By age 19, I had to get a pacemaker and a defibrillator after I shattered my nose from a seizure, as you can see from the scar. After the pacemaker implant and a few more seizures, I seemed to be doing good for a few years. And then I had probably the scariest moment of my life. Age 21, I received a storm shock from my defibrillator, which is 3 or more shocks in a row. What made it worse, well, the worst was that they were unnecessary shocks, and because my pacemaker was set too low, and I was fully conscious for all 3 shocks I received. I received one outside when I was taking out the trash of my old apartment, and then I received one in the kitchen after I stumbled back up, and then I received the other one after laying down in my old room. It was the most painful thing I've experienced in my life. It felt like something was trying to tear out of my chest while I was being hit by a semi, and it was all because I got upset from a fight with my boyfriend. That's how sensitive this heart condition can be. I could have pulled out my dangerous heart rhythm by myself, but unfortunately for me, at the time my pacemaker was set a little bit too low for my specific heart rhythm, resulting in unnecessary shocks. Besides that event, I got a break for a few years, but it seems like CPVT comes with other inevitable problems. I've had seizures for about 6-7 years now, and all those years they blamed it on my CPVT because CPVT does cause seizures. But within the last week, I actually found out my seizures are due to epilepsy, not CPVT. But I still have seizures from my CPVT, which would be due to a lack of oxygen and blood being sent to the brain from an irregular heart rhythm. But I have most of my seizures from neurons misfiring in my brain, epilepsy. From everything I've read, usually CPVT is misdiagnosed as epilepsy, especially in kids, resulting in many problems when epilepsy medication is given instead of beta blockers for medication for CPVT, which doesn't stop the seizures if you're giving epilepsy medication and you're getting your seizures from CPVT. I've heard a theory that epilepsy and CPVT are actually caused by the same leaky mutated gene, making CPVT a neurocardiac disease, which I suppose in my case could be true. CPVT has been a big struggle for me, resulting in having to file for disability at age 22, crushing my professional dreams and making my absurd college debt 100% useless. But I'm lucky to have been diagnosed, and I'm lucky to be walking around. This year has been an absolute living hell. Going into the year with a broken wrist, getting my appendix removed, starting to have seizures again after 3 years of being seizure-free, getting shocked from my medicine, and the list goes from my machine, and the list goes on and on. But if this video helps people, if it spreads awareness, then it definitely makes it worth it. If you or someone you know has been dealing with seizures uncontrolled by seizure medication or fainting spells, look for a cardiac cause. Go beyond EKG. Usually it's not enough. Get a stress test because it can't hurt to check. The heart needs to be under stress to show the abnormal irregular heart rhythm. About 1 in 10,000 people have CPVT, and even though I'm the only person I know that has this, there are people out there dealing with their own struggle with CPVT, and I hope my story has showed that it can be a little bit more complex than just an irregular heart rhythm, that the reverse can happen, that they can miss an epilepsy diagnosis due to CPVT, and that the word needs to be spread in the disease in order to prevent tragic young deaths and help those who suffer with CPVT live a long, full life. Although there have been a lot of struggles and a lot of bad things with this disease, it definitely could be worse, and to all those who are suffering out there, you can still live a long, fruitful life. I just happen to have a more severe case of it, and even having a more severe case, I can still say I'm happy in life. I'm happy to be walking. I'm happy to be alive, and there really isn't too much different about my life. I just have to be a little bit more careful. But it is a very dangerous disease, and the word does need to be spread out, and I really hope that this video reaches out to people with the disease and people who know people with the disease and people who have no idea about it. Just get the word out there a little bit about it. So thank you for watching, and please share my video and help get the word out about CPV.